Good morning and welcome to Today in the News on Vanguard Live. My name is Damlola Okushaki. Here on Vanguard Live, Today in the News, we read and give in-depth analysis on some of the stories making waves on the dailies across Nigeria. And this morning I'll be starting with the front page of Vanguard newspaper. And on the front page we have killings, act now. South Middle Belt leaders write Buhari. Stop killings in Southern Kaduna now. Afenifere Pandef or Aneze, Middle Belt tells Buhari. Pentecostal Fellowship of Nigeria, PFN, asks Fulanis to list their grievances. NHRC condemns killings, wants community policing. Christian Rights Agenda, CRA, slams Buhari. KDSQ seeks United Nations, UN, International Criminal Court, that's the ICC probe. Castina elders wail over insecurity. And you can see more of that on page 5. And on page 35, we have Lagos records 156 new infections as confirmed cases rise to 40,532. And moving on, we have 6.4 trillion naira ERGP expenditure fails to meet set targets. And the rider says government forced to draw new development plan to start from scratch. And moving on to the story on page 9, we have APC, PDP in Vava war over skirmishes at Oba of Benin's Palace. I will reply every attack point by point, says Magu. You can see that on page 14. And still on page 14, we have 80,000 Nigerians enslaved abroad. Dangote Cement rakes in 162.9 billion naira profit in 6 months. On page 34, we have Yoruba leaders to army. No harm must befall Adeni in custody. 14 airports now back in business. And you can see more of that on page 10. And on the stories above, we have tension as Niger Delta drops a plot siege to NDDC. And lastly, on the front page of the Vanguard, on page 28, we have for justice, FairPlay letter next president come from Southeast, says Baba Tokwe. And from there, we'll move straight to the Punch. And on the front page of the Punch, we have ex-banker fixing $153 million Desiani Luther trial testifies against Magu. And the writer says, in 3 weeks, I surrendered 9.08 billion naira to EFCC account in CBN, says Lawa. It's absurd for someone on trial to testify against Magu. And this is coming from ex-EFCC boss lawyer. And moving on to the stories below, on page 10, we have Osho federal lawmakers clash over state debts, $20 million loan. And on pages 4 and 5, we have a widow laments husband's death in police robbers shootouts. Anger as Lagos marks 400 Ogun houses for demolition. And you can see more of that on page 7. And on the stories above, on page 8, NDDC representative Solomon Ponde, Nunye Alaibe and others. And lastly, on the front page of the Punch, we have 14 airports now open to domestic flights, says the federal government. And that's all we have on the front pages of the paper, but we'll be going on a short break, and when we return, we'll be analyzing the story. And of course, I won't be doing this alone, as I have two guests that will be analyzing this with me. Stay with me, we'll be back. All right, welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is still Today in the News on Vanguard Live, and I'm Damlola Okushaki. And of course, we've reviewed the front page of Vanguard and the Punch. Right now, this is the analysis segment where we'll be giving you the in-depth analysis on the front pages on stories. And now we have two guests with me in the studio, and that's Mr. Aliu Mohammed, CEO of Magu Communications, and the former editor of Concord and Daily Times newspaper, and he's here with me in the studio. Good morning, you're welcome.
Good morning.
Okay, and also joining us via Zoom is Olaju Igbenro, Executive Director, Emergency and Risk Alerts, former head, Humanitarian and Resilience, Conflict and Emergency Action Aid, Nigeria. Good morning, Mr. Igbenro.
Good morning, it's a pleasure.
Yes, thanks for joining us. And now, of course, you know, if you can recall that nearly 100 people have been killed in Kaduna in the last 7 days. And the Southern and Middle Belt leaders yesterday asked President Muhammadu Buhari, you know, to urgently put an end to it to save the country, you know, from drifting into anarchy. Mr. Igbenro, what do you think about this statement?
The conflict of crisis oils in Southern Kaduna is an historical one, and no, President Buhari does not need to be prompted to put an end to it. That is why he came into office, because he said that his principal aim of coming to office were to redeem the economy of Nigeria, to address the issue of conflict in Nigeria, violence, in his words, security, and at the same time to fight corruption. If you look at the three parameters, they are interwoven. Interwoven in the sense that violence is going to cripple the economy of the country. And of course, the issue of corruption that you are fighting is a species of violence, even though latent, because it does not make resources available to the people. And with scarce resources, there will be competition. With stiff and dangerous competition, there will be crisis. And with this type of crisis, you will begin to see the analysis where President Buhari situated it in the last 1 week through his media people. That is a what do they call it? Attack in terms of reacting to the one that had happened before. But that should not be analysis for the president. The president was not elected to begin to give analysis. He was elected to tackle situation, to address them, to devolve action that will competently respond to emerging insecurity, particularly in the Southern Kaduna as we have it now. So it's a monumental disaster for a president to begin to do analysis of why a security breach is happening or not. So the aim of election of a president is to address problem, to tackle problem, and we can't wait longer than this. Look at in the last one, we're talking of over 100. It could be more. Some people have died anonymously in this country. It's only that Southern Kaduna is at the centerpiece today or last week, and it will evolve in other areas of the country. So that has been the pattern in the last 5 years of President Muhammadu Buhari, outsourcing responsibility, explaining out critical issues of life and death. It's not expected of a government, because the principal aim of instituting government is for the welfare of the people and for their security. In the area of welfare, there's abysmal failure. In the area of protecting the lives of people, of course, that is left for you. Even those of us on the road, moving about and everything, you imagine security you come across. It's all over Nigeria, but it's only that it got worse in the areas of Southern Kaduna in the last 1 week.
Okay, so Mr. Igbenro, you know, some time ago, the assistant to the president, that's Malam Garuba Shehu, you know, he said that where the problem in Southern Kaduna is an evil combination of politically motivated banditry and revenge killings. What do you think of this statement? And some people are saying that it's just a blame game.
That is the most useless grammar that anyone can speak. Nigeria is not interested in the cause. Nigeria is interested in addressing the situation. That is the trust that has been given to President
Okay.
to give hope.
Okay, Mr. Guero, we'll come back to you. Okay, Mr. Guero, we'll come back to you in a minute. Sally, what do you think of what Mr. Guero is saying?
Well, basically and fundamentally, the major responsibility of any government is to ensure the safety and security of its citizens. Every life of an average Nigerian is sacrosanct. Nobody have the right to kill. To that extent, the killings in southern Kaduna has dragged on for so long, and everybody is looking forward to a final solution, which is a rather appropriate thing. The blame game going on within the presidency is unacceptable. Whether it is politically motivated or not, we have a commander-in-chief sitting in office, and people expect that by now there must have been a solution to the unwarranted killing of people in not only in southern Kaduna, in any part of Nigeria. The greatest threat that anybody could face is the threat to his life. So I think I wouldn't say that the government has failed totally in this area. I don't want to use those words because they have been used in the past. The excuses that usually emanate from the presidency has become a cliche, politically motivated. Why do we have the army? Why do we have the air force? Why do we have the navy? We heard that people come from outside Nigeria to attack people, to attack Nigerians. Why do we have the security agencies at the nation's borders? There is a problem that must be solved. One of the major policy statements of the president, like he said, is to ensure the security of the country, fight corruption, and boost the nation's economy. The situation that we are now could truncate all those agendas of the president. If there is no peace in any area, you can't have an economic growth there.
You know, this level of
there cannot even be any economic activity.
Yes, we know, and this, you know, the level of this insecurity is worrisome. So, what do you think can be done, you know, to address this insecurity now?
I'm not a security expert. You see, like people have said, the security system of Nigeria should be rejigged. Some people have called for the removal of the service chiefs. The presidency, for whatever reasons, has refused to budge and remove the service chiefs. That means the presidency have a separate opinion from the opinion of the National Assembly and so many Nigerians that have called for the sack of these service chiefs. So since the president knows the reasons why the service chiefs must not go, we expect that there should be a change in tactics to get these bandits out of the way for Nigerians to have peace. Like I said, the greatest threat that anybody can have is a threat to life. And it is all over the place in the Niger Delta. The Boko Haram members are killing people. They are even killing soldiers. So I think it is high time the presidency will come up with a solution to eradicate this problem, not reducing, because if you say reduce, then that means you have surrendered a few or some of your nationals to these bandits for killing.
Okay, so I'll be back to you in a minute. So, Mr. Guero, do you know, some of the, the solutions that people are asking now is for them to have state and local government policing. So, do you actually think this state and local government policing will get rid of these, of these things in the society, the perpetrators in the society?
Well, I didn't see no answer for what I didn't hear well, but let me assume that I heard you. The solution, what could be done? The problem is an historical one. There are So the diversity in Kaduna has been poorly managed, and this poor management is very reinforced by belief in a hegemonic structure that one is higher than the other. One should have more opportunity than the other. One ethnic group must be recognized more than the other. One religious group must be recognized more than the other. It's a pathways of problem. And with that nature of problem, what you do is to consciously ignite atmosphere for peace building, which has not been done over the year. If they are doing it, they are infusing political needs. So it should be a political conscious peace building process that will be and in addressing this, in doing this, you have the diversities that I've mentioned, the areas of diversity, they must be frontally addressed. Without addressing them, of course, if you deploy all Nigerian military there, it will still resuscitate later, it will rejuvenate later. But instantly now, in order to address it, there is need for people to be secure. And in that case, you need to consciously define areas of where people are vulnerable. Areas of risk areas must be identified, and they must be policed. They must be security officers must be dedicated to such areas for protection of the people. Because at the end of the day, what you have to be alive, even if the peace building process is just a mid-term to long-term solution. But presently, the carnage must be stopped. And of course, just ask yourself, what was the purpose of President Muhammadu Buhari traveling to Mali? For them to achieve peace, he was in Mali. For them to achieve peace in Kaduna, he was not there. What does that tell you? These are challenges we are having in the country, and it's a challenge of governance. If you are able to address that from federal level, from central level, everyone must come together and address it through that process of peace building. And peace building here, I'm not peace building that to recognitions of assets, historical assets that I've mentioned, peace building that connote to the to issues of vulnerabilities of people, peace building that address the issue test to resources and opportunities within the same Kaduna, between people of northern Kaduna and southern Kaduna, peace building process that recognize the fact that people are fighting fratricidal war that have divided brothers and sisters in the name of religion, in the name of ethnicity. All those things must be put on the table and they must be frontally addressed. So the president should not be telling the story of reversal attack. Who is reversing what? Must there be attack in the first place? If the president or the government is up and doing, not to talk of reversal. Attack happen, counter attack happen, and you are sleeping, and you are doing analysis.
Okay, so
it's ugly. It's an ugly way of responding to a critical issue of life and death.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Guerrero. Okay, Mr. Aliu now, talking about, away from this insecurity issue, and let's talk about in the NDDC. The House of Rep resolved to sue the Minister of Niger Delta Affairs, that's Mr. Akpabio, last Thursday, for criminal perjury and civil defamation. So now a ranking officer, a ranking member of the House of Representatives in Katsina, has said that he does not think they are going to go ahead with the suit, because Akpabio has written to them and also explained himself to them, so they don't think they are going to go ahead. What do you think of this?
Well, whatever it is, there is this saying that those who go to equity must come with clean hands. Akpabio himself, that is accusing people, members of the House, that of being the beneficiaries of the contracts that failed within the NDDC. By now, I expect the government to have suspended him, because if you gave contracts to people that are not supposed to even have it, it's a failure on the part of the ministry. As at last weekend, I heard that he has written a letter to the speaker listing the names of those who got contracts and failed to execute them, and up till now no action has been taken against those people. If you gave contract to people, or if I give contract to somebody and that person fails to execute the contract despite payment, I should be seen to be taking some actions. As a minister of the Niger Delta, what did he do? You see, the problem we have in Nigeria, like I keep saying, is impunity on the part of the minister and the people that got the contracts. There is this feeling that you can do anything in Nigeria and nothing will happen. Impunity breeds corruption. It breeds the kind of nonsense we have in NDDC, and the general insecurity that we have around us today is a product of impunity. As at today, the president ought to have suspended the minister of Niger Delta, the minister of the Niger Delta ministry, and a special probe be set up to find out how those billions developed wings. How can you pay somebody? If I as Aliu Mohammed, I cannot pay anybody a huge sum of money to do something for me, and the thing is not done, and I will sit down and not do anything. So, like somebody wrote last week, he said we must fight impunity and win impunity before we can succeed in the war against corruption. All sorts of nonsense goes on in Nigeria today, including the killings in southern Kaduna. Some people have said that the attitude of the state governor is responsible for the massive killing in that area, because he seemed to be supporting a particular religion against another. And at that level, I expect that the federal government should step in and call that governor to order. The same indiscipline is what we are witnessing at NDDC. Why would you give contract to anybody? Contract, not 1 million, in billions. He listed all the names. And I hope that this week the federal government should sit up and take a stern action against those people. Otherwise, the war against corruption by the Buhari administration will be seen as not being effective.
Okay, so Nigerians are actually, Nigerians are, we've seen a lot of people, reacting on social media and also saying that the development in the Niger Delta, has not really improved. It has really been disappointing since the existence of NDDC. So now they are calling that for NDDC to be scrapped. Do you support this?
And I think, like a lot of people have said, the NDDC has become a big pot of soup for some indigenes of the Niger Delta. Unfortunately, the leaders of the Niger Delta region are not saying anything about the high level of corruption in NDDC. From the information that I have gathered, some of those leaders are also major culprits in the looting of the NDDC. I totally support the return of the NDDC to the presidency for effective supervision. Don't forget that the NDDC used to be under the presidency, under the supervision of, I think, a director or somebody. I want to advocate for a return of the NDDC, and in fact, it is total scrapping of the Ministry of Niger Delta.
Okay.
And a return, because what is Niger Delta Ministry doing? Supervise the NDDC, observe the spending of the money allocated to NDDC and all that. Do you really need a ministry for Niger Delta in view of the massive failure of the NDDC that it supervises? Okay,
Mr. Gbero, do you think NDDC should return back to the presidency?
Well, we need to contextualize that statement. We have spoken of failure of governance now. Is it not in the presidency that you have grass cutters? So who is the presidency according to the information? Well, what is going on there against those that are looting their resources now and across other parts of Nigeria. No. But we say this, we turn everything to joke in Nigeria. We have in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, we have moved from Magu to Malami to DNNDCC, and of course we are still on that journey. We have not finished the cycle, the vicious cycle of corruption that is going on. So it's not about where you situate it. It's about the accountability framework that is put in place. It's about the management framework that is put in place. It's about the governance framework that is put in place. How do you now say you want to consciously develop Niger Delta? Niger Delta that has been ruined by politicians, by the military, mismanagement of oil resources, and you now go back and put the same politicians that have ruined the place there. Are you telling me that Niger Delta has no political technocrat? Are you telling me that they don't have? You can consciously go for to head the Niger Delta because you are conscious of development. You can consciously look for the like of those who have the character of Caribbean George, Caribbean White, among
Mr. Guerrero.
You can look at those who have the character of you throw bottle of meat at dogs and you expect them to be looking at those meats without consuming them. Is it possible? So deliberately, when you give your food to cats will eat it, and that is what we are having because of political exigencies. You brought in people you know have an issue. Their history of corruption is very glaring, it's clear, it's a national history, and you make them to head agencies. You make them to become ministers, even those that are facing criminal charges of a grant. So what do you expect from that? You can't give something or nothing. That is why we are getting this. Whether in presidency, whether in the Ministry of Niger Delta, you are going to have the same results if you don't have something that will guide them stringently in developing the Niger Delta. I've come to think of it. Why did we have NDDC in the first place? It's because we believe that the ministries have failed. Why do we have it under the presidency? Why do you remove it from the presidency? It's because you believe that it's not sufficiently being looked after, being managed well, and you now ceded it to the ministries. So when you return it back now, so you have seen agents in that presidency now that will sit down and begin to manage the issue of Niger Delta. Let me tell you, in the law that established Niger Delta, the act that established it, expected that quarterly report should be sent to the president. And president every quarter should hear. If that has been happening, are we going to be talking of over 2-3 years? If that has been happening, are you going to be contemplating the issue of forensic audit? So there is failure, artisanal failure, even at the level of supervisory responsibility of the presidency. And because the state, the ministry know too, they have latched on that to continue and further diluting. And that is what is happening. It's not about where you put the money, where you situate the management of NDDC. It's the people who manage them and the law that guides the people that law and policies that guide the management of the Niger Delta district. How can you imagine that somebody will be saying that? But boldly saying, because I've said this once, that an agency that is expected to manage your area, you say you are paying yourself palliative. I've worked in the humanitarian sector for over 20 years. You don't give palliative to those who don't need it. You prioritize those that cannot, that have been affected by violence, by crisis, that have humanitarian challenges. Because the essence of palliative is to bring people back to their feet. Somebody collecting his salary and is not working because of pandemic, yes, still collecting salary, and you are still paying them palliative. Does that make sense? Is it logical to any national development conscious society? So those are the tragedy of our society. And it's annoying, it's frustrating, but then we will continue listening to call that there must be framework for accountability.
Okay.
That's the online of democracy.
Mr. Aguero, let's go.
Playing their role well.
Mr. Aguero, we'll come back. We'll continue after the break. Let's go on a short break now. We'll continue from where we stopped. All right, welcome back. If you're just joining us, it's Today in the News on Vanguard Live, and I've had Mr. Liu Mohammed, the CEO of Magnet Communications and the former editor of Concord and Daily Times newspaper, with me in the studio, and also Mr. Oluju Bero, who joined us via video Zoom. He's the Executive Director, Emergency and Risk Alerts, and then the former head of Humanitarian and Resilience, Conflict and Emergency Action Aid Nigeria. Welcome back, Mr. Bero and Mr. Liu.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're talking about NDDC before the break, and you're talking about this corruption circle going on, from Magu to NDDC. Now, we've had K-Tension, some celebrities like K-Tension saying that NDDC, they should storm the office and close it down, and also Asari Dokubo saying that what is going on in NDDC and the money now is just like pickpocketing compared to other firms like NNPC. And now talking about NNPC, so an oil firm has also written a letter to the group managing director of NNPC, that's Mele Kyari, demanding 5% reward for exposing the diversion and theft of 48 million barrels of crude oil in 2015. And talking about this crude oil, he said he wrote a statement in 2015 to the presidency, and it did get to the presidency, but the late chief of staff to the presidency, that's Abba Kyari, was aware of this letter. What do you think of this?
Okay, let me revert to your the last question. NNPC is underwhere. Is it not under presidency? NNPC, is it not under presidency? So what are we talking about? We are talking of people that are given to make Nigeria perpetually underdeveloped. They don't want Nigeria to develop, to go anywhere. The cornerstone of our economy is oil. If you have Shadai, it And that has been a pattern in the last 5 years of this administration. So who is to blame? The minister who was not brought back raised alarm about issues of negotiation, about issues of mismanagement of contract in NNPC. There was a problem between him and Kanti, the one that died recently, the former GND. Group managing director of NNPC, which eventually led to the removal of what is his name again? The man from Delta State. So these are challenges we have been having. It falls under the issue of transparency. Do you know how many barrels of oil people produce per day? Who knows? What are the nature of contract behind them? Oil companies that have been seated with responsibility of bringing on this crude oil, marketing them, in agreement with NNPC. Do we know what? There's no meter. In fact, in Saudi Arabia, those who manage oil will sit down in their home and begin to tell you through a network of technology that has been put in place. They know the drop. If a drop of oil is leaving Saudi Arabia, they know that a drop of oil is leaving. But here we don't have it. It's like meter. They get recorded in their oil office in Saudi Arabia. But here, everybody just do what they like, and what they give Nigeria is what we believe. You don't know what happened at the IC. You don't know the exchange and every other thing. Even this one is infinitesimal to the damage and the corruption that is going on. This one we are seeing today. Common investigation of even fuel oil importation under Jonathan. Maybe you saw the route. Not to talk of the one that is going on offshore, nearly invisible to most Nigerians. The one that they will see from their import. There's crisis of organs, there's crisis of integrity, and now you are talking of the one that ordinary Nigerians don't even have means to find out. Even the government itself has no means to find out.
Sorry, Mr. Agbero, sorry to cut you in. Sorry to cut you in. I'll be back to you now in the next 5 minutes. Okay, so Mr. Liu, what do you think about what is going on in NNPC right now?
It is sad. He has said it all. A lot of corruption cases, which is making a mess of the avouched fight against corruption by this government. The president himself needs to sit down and look at all these open cases of corruption. People keep saying that he has surrounded himself with a lot of bad people. But if you have surrounded yourself with bad people and you are not removing them, the same set of people that have been in government since 2015 are the same people that we still have. Like he said, we have good people, technocrats, who have this willingness to change things, to turn things around in this country. We should begin to search for such people. All the sharks and people that are after money and making a mess of our institutions in this country should be shown the way out of governance. I keep saying that I am disappointed. I feel embarrassed each time we mention billions of dollars and naira being stolen and no action is taken. It is most embarrassing. And as a government, we go out to say that we want to assist other countries in Africa to fight corruption, to have peace, whereas we have a major threat to our economic stability as a country that is corruption, and it is not being properly addressed. You talk about, like he said, the NNPC is under the presidency. Once we do not have appropriate accountability, all these cases of fraud will continue to recur. We must embrace accountability as a nation, as a people, And we have to sit down and revisit the process of appointments of people to major government positions. Because here we have people who are just there to line their pockets with billions of dollars to the detriment of an average Nigerian.
Okay,
and it is sad.
Still talking about this corruption, and we were talking about millions of dollars being looted. So, according to report, a former banker was Dawood Alawa, was facing a $15 million Desiani last trial. He appeared before the Justice Salami led presidential panel on Saturday to testify against Magu, that's the suspended EFCC boss. Saying that he within 3 weeks, he surrendered the 9.8 billion naira, to Magu. Now, my question for you is: do you think someone on trial should be able to testify against Magu?
I don't. It is wrong. It is wrong to bring somebody who is on trial for corruption at whatever level to testify against a man who is being investigated. You just said it that he's on trial. How far has that trial gone? Has it been declared innocent of the allegations leveled against him at the earlier trial? You see, the issue at stake is what an average Nigerian called dog eats dog. A lot of corrupt activities have taken place between the Office of the Attorney General and the EFCC, and it has become so messy that they are all trying to save their heads, and in that process indict some other folks. It is disappointing, it is embarrassing that we have these kind of situations being superintended by a government that has vowed to fight corruption. It is most embarrassing. It is disappointing. I haven't said that. I want to appeal that whatever the report of this investigative panel is should be made public, so that the government will actually know the situation of things, not a report that will be submitted and will be hidden, because we've had all these testimonies have been made public, and I think we have the right to also have access to the final reports of the investigative panel. Okay, so
in the last day, I think we're running out of time. I just want to ask you, what do you think, the people of PDP and APC yesterday they engaged in a fierce war of words, accusing each other of being responsible, for last Saturday's clash between the supporters, where some of them were injured. The APC is saying that PDP they're trying to arrest Shomole, while PDP is also saying that the APC is trying to kill Obaseki.
I watched that video, and I want to commend the security agents that came with the state governor. They were pointing fingers at the governor, members of the governor's convoy. But all through that, there was no reaction from the security agents. It is obvious those who did that. It is so obvious that a particular political party supporters carried out that violence at the Oba's palace. In Benin culture, it is against the laws, it is against tradition to do that kind of thing at the palace of the Oba of Benin. I haven't said that I don't want to start blaming either of the two parties. I want to appeal that at the end of the day, the two people struggling for power in Edo State will survive it. But the ordinary people, those who were shouting, okay, tell me, was Obaseki shot on Saturday? No. Was Adams shot on Saturday? No. I saw the video of some people, commoners that were shot, being treated at an hospital in Benin. And coincidentally, if all those people had been killed, the campaigns will still go on. People should stop fighting for politicians. You are not helping yourself. You are not helping your family. Any politician that wants people to fight for them should first of all bring out their children, bring out their relatives, let them lead the fight. The people that were shot on Saturday, they were not relatives of Adams. They were not relatives of Obaseki. The ordinary people that have probably been paid some cheap money, 10,000, go out there and fight. They were the victims. So we must allow peace to reign as we approach the elections in Edo State. I feel so passionate. I feel so emotionally attached to that state because I am from there. We don't want anything untoward to happen there. Adams will survive it. The governor will either win or lose the election. But anybody that is killed during the election will never be part of the swearing in. Once you are killed, you are gone.
Thank you very much, Mr. Aliu. Aliu Mohammed, CEO of Magnet Communication and former editor of Concord newspaper and Daily Times, and also Mr. Olaju Igbegbero, Executive Director, Emergency and Risk Alert, former head Humanitarian and Resilience, Conflict, and also Emergency Action Aid with Nigeria. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us, Mr. Igbegbero, and thanks for sharing your voice with us, Mr. Aliu. And that's all we have for you on Today in the News on Vanguard Live. You can always get more of our stories on our website, www.vanguardngr.com, and also follow us on our social media platforms that are showing on your screen to get our breaking news and some of the things that are going on in Nigeria and across the world. And that's all from me, Damnola Ogunshaki. Have a lovely day.